If China is uncomfortable being mentioned in our remarks, it should stop enabling Russia to prolong the war.
China did not start the Ukraine crisis and is not a party to it. China has never supplied lethal weapons to either side of the conflict.
If China were serious about helping to end the war, it would stop providing these critical components to Russia. China, as its representatives have pointed out, does not directly provide weapons to Russia. Nevertheless, China has become the decisive enabler of Russia's war effort by being the most important supplier of Russia's war industrial machine. Specifically, China has provided Russia with significant quantities of machine tools, microelectronics, optics, UAV, and cruise missile technology, and nitrocellulose, which Russia uses to make propellant for weapons. If China were serious about helping to end the war, it would stop providing these critical components to Russia. Both Russia and Ukraine must negotiate a ceasefire and durable peace. It is time to make a deal. President Trump has made clear this must be done by August 8th. The United States is prepared to implement additional measures to secure peace. I thank you, Mr. President.
At previous meetings, I responded to such accusations time and again. Since the U.S. did it again today, I am compelled to respond again to set the record straight. First, China did not start the Ukraine crisis and is not a party to it. China has never supplied lethal weapons to either side of the conflict and has strictly controlled export of dual-use goods, including drones. Second, the parties to the conflict are not under Council sanctions. China has normal trade relations with Russia and Ukraine. By doing so, it doesn't violate international law or breach its international obligations. China's legitimate rights and interests must not be infringed upon. In fact, till now, the U.S. has continued its economic and trade activities with Russia. If the U.S. is doing that itself, why it doesn't allow others to do the same? You can set fire to houses while others can't even light lamps. Is that the logic? Third, the Ukraine crisis is at a critical juncture where we see prospects and hopes for a political solution. It is not right for the U.S. to expect China to play a role in putting early end to the war, but never cease its smear and pressurizing tactics against China. We once again urge the U.S. to stop its pointless blame game, stop shifting responsibilities, and play a more constructive role for the end of the fighting and for the peace talks. Thank you.
Materials and components supplied by China are ending up in Russian weapons, which Russia is using to strike Ukraine, killing civilians and destroying infrastructure. If China is uncomfortable being mentioned in our remarks, it should stop enabling Russia to prolong the war. China has said many times that it wants peace. I urge China to bring its actions into line with its words. China's direct actions supplying Russia with the materials it needs to carry on the war make peace difficult to achieve. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think in my response just now, I made it very clear. Security Council has not imposed the sanctions on parties to the conflict. China maintains normal trade with Ukraine and Russia. It is not in violation of international law, nor does it breach any international obligation. The U.S. is also conducting trade with Ukraine, so why can't China do that? It is totally normal trade. Actually, it is not China who should feel uncomfortable. It should be the U.S. who feels uncomfortable. In this very chamber of the Security Council, the U.S. keeps on slandering and smearing other countries and accusing other countries. Shouldn't you feel out of tune with the rest of the members here? To resolve the Ukraine crisis, what needed is unity and cooperation rather than division or confrontation. And once again, urge the U.S. representative to stop accusing attacking other countries and stop scapegoating other countries. Instead, you should focus on working more for diplomacy, to work more for peace and talks for peace and for ceasefire. Thank you.